All right, we are rolling, my friend.
We're rolling.
Yep.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to Hidden Treasure. And I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Brad, and today we're going to be talking about the speck in our eyes. Is that right?
That's right. Speck in your eye.
The speck in your eye. Yep, ready.
All right, speck in your eye, Brad. What in the world does that mean? We've heard the good teacher talking about it, so we're going to try to share something about it. So, what's that mean to you?
Yeah, so it's kind of a reminder for me not to be judgmental or overly critical of other people, especially when there's plenty of stuff that I can be working on personally.
Mm-hmm.
It's pointing out the spots on other people when you're a leopard yourself, right?
Yeah, you can say that. So, a speck in your eye, I never really paid much attention to that. It's like most of the good teachers' teachings. It was like, eh, you know, he was talking about them.
Mm.
It didn't apply to me. I'm good. I'm good.
Of course,
Right.
of
I don't have
course.
that problem.
Yeah,
And then, through this whole experience and growing
right.
from it, I realized, oh my God, I see what he's talking about. When I was picking on somebody or picking out their ugly and talking about it, being critical of it, judging, basically judgmental,
Right.
I didn't realize had a big plank sticking out my eyes. And plank is about, I don't know, 18 to 20 foot board
Right.
versus a speck, which you can't hardly see in an eye, when you're looking. And so he says, we got our brothers, our friends have specks and we have planks.
Right.
Well, it's kind of humbling when you recognize and realize what the heck did he mean by that. And for me, it means, Jimmy, you're being very judgmental and very fault finding, and it's not your best look, and it's not helping you any. It's not going to help you with feeling better.
Right.
So I think once I realized this, I was like, man, I need to remove the plank in my eye, like you said, and I'll
Mhm.
be see clearly about the speck in
Yeah.
my brother's eye. Which turns out they're not the problem, is what he was saying. I'm the problem.
Right. And you hear different phrases and cliches growing up, and it's just wisdom passed on from generation to generation. And
Mm-hmm.
and this reminds me of the saying, the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah, yep. I ain't
And
heard that in a while.
yeah, just judging others, and Jimmy and I have talked about this before with the sowing and reaping, is that not only are you judging others, but you're putting that negative energy out there, right?
Yes, you are.
And that's coming back.
Coming back. That's the problem with putting negative energy out into the universe, out amongst people, is it's coming back.
Right.
And that was clearly taught by the good teacher. Other teachers have taught it. We're sharing it and encouraging people. We know for a fact, we've kind of worked with this for a while and we've seen for ourselves. What's kind of real quick was that story about me calling my dog a ding dong, because she was doing silly things. And for a few weeks I was calling her a ding dong, and then when I was playing golf, I hit a shot. It wasn't so great. I called myself a ding dong. I said, "Why did I do that?" And then it dawned on me, I've been using that with my dog.
Right.
Well, I didn't mean anything by it. It was just kind of being cute. But I quit calling my dog a ding dong. Went back to her name, because I thought, golly, it does work. What we feed the mind will just come right back on us.
We're being bombarded with social media, the news, the 24/7, the overkill news, and one of the things that they all have in common is there's a lot of criticism,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of negative energy. In fact, there's a lot of folks in the media that they get paid a ton of money just to be critical of others, whether it be sports or politics or religion or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just kind of grown into a society of cynicism.
Coming up into the light of acceptance and love and joy and peace that's just as available as those lower levels.
Right.
And the thing that makes it so perfect is it's not easy to do because of other people, which gets back to this speck in your brother's eye versus the plank in your
Well,
own eye.
it expands just a little bit on the thoughts and how that affects reality.
Okay. From what I've learned and applied to myself to see if it's true, and it has been for me, is that when I put out negativity into the world or the universe or whatever you want in my own mind towards other people, even though I might be right and justified, it's it's making me feel terrible when I do it. Number one, because we don't feel better when we condemn somebody, be critical. But number two, later on, it seems to come back on me, like I was giving that example with the ding dong.
Right.
My mind's absorbing it and recording it, and then it seems to reflect it back on me as something I have to experience towards myself.
When we're being overly critical of other folks, it's coming back on us. We're being overly critical of ourselves. So it's almost like
that's it.
It's almost like being in a boxing ring and it's just you in there and you're just beating yourself up.
Right. That's a good analogy. I like that.
So when Jimmy says, we are our own worst enemies, the whole goal is to be kind to others, be kind to yourself, and live in that harmony. And so it's simple, but it's not easy to do because
it's not easy.
We're in these human bodies.
It's a simple concept,
right?
But it's not an easy thing to do because our human nature says, "Wait a minute, now you want me to be nice to this, that's treating me like I'm scum of the earth?"
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're suggesting. And it's not our idea. I mean, we didn't come up with this. We're just following the teachings of the good teacher who taught us to do this. And we never did it. And we suffered and paid there was consequences for our actions, weren't there?
We're only here for a minute. I mean, really, we're only here for a minute. And the earlier you discover this hidden treasure, this light, this spirit inside of you, and where you can connect to the others. And, we talked about higher levels of consciousness. One thing that we've seen, and we've never taken a class on spirituality.
Right.
I've heard about enlightenment and things like that, but when you're going through it, you know it for several reasons. Number one, you look at the world differently. You look at people with more love and compassion. What you're hearing right now, you're hearing a lot of people talk about Jesus. A lot of people talk about Jesus, and that's who the good teacher is. But you're hearing a lot about love and acceptance. In the corporate world, you've heard this for years. You're hearing a lot about diversity, equity, and inclusion. All that is love and acceptance, right? And so the more we hear about that, that just means as a humanity, we're stepping up our thinking, our thoughts, our consciousness.
My wife, in fact, she's the one that came up with that because she said, "Gosh, Jimmy, this is great." And I've always, she's always been a little light like your wife, but she was having a hard time with some people that are, kind of mean and hurting people. And that was just hard for her to be accepting of that person. Like, how can I accept what they're doing? I said, well, that's where you got to realize that your role is just to accept them, pray for them if you see they have a problem, but leave the rest to God.
That's and that's the healthiest thing we can do. The best for us and for them is to pray.
Right.
And because God, we're not going to put people up on the rack and fix them, right? I mean, that's
be nice, but it doesn't work that way.
We're the ones who put the plank in our eye,
right.
But you can send out prayers, and they do work, and be consistent with it, and hey, all we're saying is just try it. Right?
Yeah, that's all we're saying. Just try it, and I know it works because my wife prayed for years for God to help me see, and now I see things that I never saw before she started praying that. And I'm hopefully learning more every day because I love learning about seeing and understanding. But I know this, and we talked about it, is you see more from the eyes of love and acceptance than you ever will from pride and anger,
right, and
displeasure
and forgiveness, and
right,
and
that's acceptance.
And another way, another result that you'll see that this is working is that sometimes you'll think back to whatever conflict you had with a person, and you can't even remember what it was because it was so insignificant. It was big at the time, but then as you grow and you kind of see the bigger picture, it's like, what was I thinking? It wasn't a big deal.
Right, it wasn't. So, we appreciate you tuning in, and we just wanted to kind of touch on this speck and plank and just kind of put it in your mind that maybe we could all work on our planks. That big plank we got sticking out our eyes that we can't seem to see because we're too busy focused on the speck.
Well, and when we started this show, we said this right here is a journey of spiritual awareness, understanding, and the most important is application.
Yes.
Application, that's right. But
practice.
Yeah. But thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, all you beautiful people.
Yeah, and we love you, and we hope you have a good day, and we'll
talk to you again soon. Hopefully, you look for us. We're coming out a couple days a week now, aren't we?
That's right. And the biggest compliment you can give us is to share this with other people.
We just appreciate you tuning in, and until we see you again, peace, joy, love, and light be with you always.
Yeah, try to stay humble and thankful for all your blessings, and we'll see you next time.